Hide the meeting controls. All right, so welcome to GitHub Day. So the plan for today is first, we already asked you if you have any questions. If any come up in the middle of the session, you can ask them, just interrupt. We have a new SI leader, Liam, so he'll introduce himself and stuff like that. And then we'll go through GitHub. Liam's going to do an intro on what on earth this even is and why do you even use it. And then I'll go through getting it on your system and actually using it. And then we did have Unix commands with a Kahoot, kind of just like a bonus thing that has been trailing on since the first meeting when I made it. And we say it every single day that we're going to do it. So I might just post it online for you guys to do on your own if you want it, because I don't know how long I can keep this in the meeting plan. But that is our agenda. As you know, QR code. Scan it for my attendance. So the hub is basically for the hub to know who's coming in, and this one's more for me. So we have to do both. And then once you got that up, Liam, I will let you take it away. And pencil thingy, don't worry about the screen.
Cool. So yeah, my name is Liam. I'm a student here. I'm studying computer science, and I've taken this class, so that's why I'm being an SI for it. And also I'm broke. But besides that, let's get started immediately on Git and what Git is. So basically, to kind of understand what Git is, you need to know what a VCS or a version control system is. Essentially, a version control system is any means in which you keep track of the version history of a file. So probably the most basic one that you've probably done in the past, or a lot of people do, is they'll just keep copies of the file in different places as they go. So you're working on an essay, you'll have rough draft, and then you'll have another file, which is like final draft 1, and then final draft, and then final draft, as you go on, right? So all you're doing is just copying it and moving it to another place where it's safe. It's super easy. You just have to Control C, Control V. The issue with it is it's completely centralized. It's really difficult to work with other people. If you want to collaborate on it, you have to send them a copy of the file to their computer. You could accidentally copy the wrong one, or you could overwrite it so you lose progress. And like, if you break your computer, you lose your computer, you've lost everything. So as programmers have gone on, they're like, okay, we can't just keep copies of the source code as we go on. And they've come up with the first solution, which is a centralized VCS. So basically, instead of keeping local copies of the file on their own computer, they'll store the versions on a central computer. So they'll start off with the source code, and they'll build up different versions from that. So if you want a version, you'd connect to the server and you download it to your computer. So the pro is you only have to have one file on your computer at a time. So it's not as much storage. It's really easy to control the project from the administrator's point of view. If everyone has their own copies, it's hard to make them coordinate. But with the server, it's super easy to do it, and it adds the ability to collaborate between different people. However, it does continue to have issues when it comes to the point of failure. If the server shuts down, or has to be like maintenance has to be done, no one can work on anything until the server's back up. You have to communicate all the files. So if you want to look something up, you have to send the message. The server has to load it up and send it back to you. And and if the server breaks down, then you're screwed. Which brings us to kind of what Git is, which is a distributed version control system. It still has the version history on the main server, but also you pull down the entire version history onto each person's computer, which was great because if your computer breaks down, if anyone else's computer breaks down, if the server breaks down, there's always going to be an entire copy of all of the program files on someone's computer somewhere. So that solves the network issue as well, because if you want to look up a version of the file, it's just living on your computer. There's the only con really is that you have the entire version history, but it doesn't really take up too much space, so it's not an issue. But so that's kind of the idea of version control systems. Git is a little bit different. This is probably one of the biggest. There are other version control tools. Git is a little bit different because it uses snapshots versus differences. So what is a difference? A difference is basically if you have some file, a diff will just be basically a subset, like at line 3, add this new line. It'll just be a difference between two versions of the file, but a snapshot instead will just be a complete copy of the new version. The reason Git uses these snapshots, so for each version of a file, it'll have the changed a whole new version of the file, is because if you're to lose the initial file or you're to lose one of the diffs, pretty much you wouldn't be able to reconstruct the file because you'd be missing one of the pieces of the puzzle. So Git uses these snapshots instead. Here's the text for that. So yeah, but that's basically what I went over. So Git also on your own computer, there's these 3 main areas that Git has, which is the working directory, the staging area, and the Git repository. So basically the working directory is going to be the actual files you're working on. So what you're going to be editing, like the .cpp file, that's going to be living in the working directory. Eventually you're going to have some changes to that and you're going to want to save them. At that point, you take those changes and move them onto the staging area. The staging area is just where you kind of record what your changes were, like just in normal text, like fixed this bug or added this test or whatever. And from there, those are committed to the repository. And that just saves it as a new file like we had up here. It just basically, it adds that version, a new version to your Git repository. So that's the basic workflow and the idea of what's going on. So what is GitHub? So GitHub is basically, when we were talking earlier, it basically acts as a service that hosts that repository for your project. So everyone on the project is still going to have that local copy, but GitHub will just store the main one and keep track of some other stuff as well. So yeah, so when it comes to Git versus GitHub, Git is just the tool which allows you to keep track of those files and the changes that you made to them, where GitHub is just going to be storing that online and allowing people to access and view your code. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we can get on to using Git and GitHub.
Right.
And that's Stephanie's.
Yeah.
Stephanie's thing.
All right. So I think a good thing to do would be to kind of show you what this service looks like. If I can actually exit out of here, there we go. So GitHub is a website. It's on the web. Git is kind of on your computer. So if I go to GitHub, it's another thing you have to make an account on, but it's something you'll be using way throughout all your entire career. So it's definitely worth it. And it's a really cool platform where you can have your version history, like Liam was talking about. But in addition, what GitHub allows you to do is collaborate with other people. So we're both in the Cabrillo Robotics Club, and we have a software team that has like 15 or so members. We honestly don't know. There keep coming new people, but we're working on one project, right? So how do you collaborate with other people on a project? Well, GitHub is a really great way for that, in which there's like this main repo. Repo is kind of like a word for a folder or a project or something like that, where all of our code lives. And then we're allowed to take like little subsystems on our own computer of this main repo, make changes to it, and then what's called push to the main one. So that's another reason why Git and GitHub are really cool. It's the version saving history, which allows you to go back in time. So if you made a change in your file and you want to read, like you're like, oh, that change was actually not a good idea, and then you can just go back to a certain point in time. Or if you want to collaborate with other people, this is what everyone uses for it. So kind of what the website looks like. You can have multiple what are called repos. You'll basically have one for each project or each class that you're in. So I think a good idea is for me to actually get you on this thing and we can get started with that. So for CS-11 SI, I have made a GitHub repo for us. And this is where we are going to be kind of collaborating on code. So for the practice exercises that I've been promising you guys since the beginning that we haven't done yet, they will be through this service. So I'll have basically these different directories for each week, and you'll have instructions on what to do. This is in Markdown. Remember how I was telling you guys Markdown is super useful? GitHub, all of the instructions are based in Markdown. So you'll use it forever. And then I'll have like a starter file that you can edit, and then you'll make your edits, and then you'll send your changes to me through GitHub. So on the very home page of this is the instructions on how to install Git on your system and then using GitHub. So if you want to get your computer out, now would probably be a good time for that. And since you're on a Mac, we're only going to cover the Mac version, I think. There is a way to do it on Cygwin as well. And if people want to do that later, anyone who's actually watching this recording, just let me know and I'll walk you through it. So what you're going to want to do is go to the Canvas page for today. And then you'll go to the very bottom of that. Hang on, why is this not hiding this? There we go. You'll go to the very bottom of the Canvas page for today, and you'll click on this, and it's going to bring you to a link. And you should be able to access that. And let me know when you get that up. All right, sweet. So you see something that probably looks like this, right? All right, cool. So we're going to be following these instructions that I made for you guys. So for you, the very first instruction is going to be this instruction number 0 on Mac and Linux. So I already have Git installed, so I'll probably head over and look at your computer to make sure we're doing this right. So which isn't the only one here, but you're going to just start off by opening your terminal. And the cool thing about Mac and Linux is Git is supposed to be already installed on the system. With Cygwin, you have to install it yourself. So it saves us actually quite a bit of time having a Mac or Linux. So you open your terminal and then go ahead and enter this command git -- version. And let me know what comes back for that.
Git version 2.3.2 Apple Git -143.
All right, that sounds good. You got a version number, that means it is on your system. So if you didn't get that, you would follow these guide right here that's linked. But since you do, we are going to say you have Git on your system. So that eliminates a whole bunch of steps for us. So we're going to go straight to actually creating a GitHub account. So you go back to the website that I just had you pull up where this whole file is. And there should be somewhere where it's asking you to create an account. Let me see. That looks like on your end. Yeah, sign up. And it's completely free. You should never have to pay for it. Of course, like most services, there are free and not free versions, but yeah.
You don't need
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. You don't need to. Everything that we do in SI will never have anything that you pay for, which is good. I like free stuff. So to create your GitHub account, hello, hi, hey, good to see you. We are just getting into creating a GitHub account. Awesome. So I will press pause on this. You're on Mac, right? You're on a Mac?
Yes.
Awesome. Then we're following the same instructions for everybody. So that works out quite well for me. Yes. So go ahead and get your Mac up. And we are going into the installation process. So what you're going to want to do is get a terminal up, and actually, no, I'm going to backtrack even further. Go to the SI Canvas page for today and bring up the, how you get there is from dashboard to supplemental instruction, and then to modules, and then to the one for today, which is Git and GitHub. And then all at the bottom under other, it says CS-11 GitHub repo. Oh, okay, you're good. But basically what this is Liam, do you want to give like a super quick crash course?
Yeah.
Super quick.
Basically, when it comes to working on projects, especially collaborating with others,
you need to keep track of your files and the changes made to those files across different people. Git makes all of that easy.
Hello,
makes it work
welcome in.
super well, you know what? Let me just repeat all that from the start. We're talking about Git and GitHub. Okay, basically, when it comes to programming, you're gonna want to make changes to files, and you want to keep track of your changes versus usually other people on your team's changes. Git is a tool that uses a lot of really cool concepts and ideas to really beautifully keep track of those changes. And it stores all those, everyone's changes all on everyone's computer, but also on a server. GitHub acts as a service to store all that history on there and to allow people to grab your code and edit it. That's the breakdown.
Yeah, that's the quick, super quick crash course. If you want more information on that, we have the recording.
Yeah.
Or talk to Liam.
Yeah, or you can ask me.
Yeah.
Either way.
All right, so Mac. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have to deal with Sigwin. That's fantastic. So for everyone who just showed up, go ahead and go to the CS-11 Canvas page and then open the page for today. As you guys know, everything that we ever talk about goes on a page here along with the recording and any resources that we use. And you're going to click this one right here and let me know if that link works out for you. All right, sweet. So this is GitHub. This is what's called a repo. And this is the one that I've made for this SI session. It's actually an entire section for the entire semester. So basically what's going to happen from now forward, we've been talking about how we're going to do practice problems with you guys. This is how you'll get starter code and instructions for them. So we will be dividing this by week, in which each week you'll have a folder or directory. And so if we go to week 3, this is what we'll end up doing today, but you'll have instructions for what you're supposed to do, and you'll have some starter code. So this is where you'll be able to find all the files that we talk about and go over and actually be able to edit them on your system. So let's get into actually getting you guys accounts. So that's not where I wanted to go. Go for it. Yep.
No, I'm just gonna,
What?
if you guys have a chance, just pull up the terminal, type in git space -- conversion, just to make sure you have Git installed.
Yeah.
Like there.
And on the main page that you just pulled up, all the instructions that we have up here are just right on that page. You should be able to see them. So you want to do split screen because it's like commands, you got to copy and paste. You just click these little nice buttons here, I'll automatically copy it to your clipboard. Yeah. We love Markdown.
We do.
We love Markdown. Okay, so does everyone get like a version number when you put that in the terminal?
Yeah, I got 2932.
Perfect. All right, sounds good. So now you guys are going to create a GitHub account. You're good. Let's see. Should I do this on the Windows with them or can I just explain it?
I think it is.
I think I can just explain it. Okay. I have all the pictures too. So in the top right corner of GitHub, you should see something that says sign in or create accounts. So go ahead and click on the create accounts, and you're going to need an email that you can actively access because we're going to use that later. And then you'll create a password. Make sure you remember your password and also a username. So this is probably going to just be your name or whatever username you like to use online. Just remember, probably put no spaces, probably best, right? Because we're going to have to type it in.
What, for which?
The username?
You can't have spaces.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't use spaces.
Yeah, don't use spaces. Basically, if you're ever naming a file or a directory or anything that you're trying to type in your terminal, it's a lot easier if you don't use spaces. So
Use underscores.
yeah,
For the email, do we use their real email or
whichever one you actually use.
Yeah.
It's completely free for students, non-students, anyone who wants to use it. So you'll be good using any email. And then if you don't want to get spammed, just put N here for no. And then once you have an account, let me know. And then we'll go into configuring your account. So we can actually link GitHub to your local system. And if you want to do any of these, let me know. What's up?
Use your .email or something, one of those lines for the second one.
Oh no,
It's fine.
no, it's not fine. How did that happen?
Quickly, you gotta merge the change.
I gotta merge the change. No, all right, that's probably a bad idea. Okay, Liam caught a typo. I'll fix it later, but for now, I'll just point it out. When we get to that step, I'm going to point it out. So just let me know when you guys have accounts.
I got one.
You got one? Other two? You have any GitHub accounts or not yet?
It's only the verify.
Oh, got it. Are you changing it right now?
I think I can.
Should we just do just me for the how many people are working on the account?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably just you. I don't think that really matters too much, right? How many people?
Yeah, there might be some things, but you can just put one.
Yeah.
Usually, you're gonna only want to use one. The only time you're not gonna use one is sometimes big projects, on GitHub will be hosted as an org page, so like the owner of the repository will view the project name. But, that's, you guys aren't probably gonna be doing any big projects, so I wouldn't worry about that, but.
Well, in the future, if you ever want to know that's there, but for now, yeah. All right, so are you guys set? Set? All right, perfect. So what I'm gonna have you do, if you know how to make a split screen, do you guys know how to make split screens? Okay, yeah, we can just shrink this down and then have it off to the side. It's probably nice because you can just copy and paste commands. So you'll have your terminal open.
Should we keep the desktop open for anything? Or
All you need is the terminal and wherever you're having GitHub up. So whatever web browser you use.
or specific features you usually put on all of them or whichever ones they use?
Oh, you want to see what that is?
Um.
All right, so what you're going to do is in your terminal, you can go ahead and click copy on this first one and paste it in. But instead of in brackets where it says your GitHub username, just use whatever name you logged in with. So I can't do this because I already have an account, but I'll kind of show you what I might do. So my GitHub username, if I go up to the very top and I go here, tells me my GitHub username is Steph with 4 1s in a row. So that's what you're going to be typing in here. So where is this? There we go. So I do Steph 11111 like that. So just do that with the equivalent to what you have, and then go ahead and click enter when you're done.
If you want, you can also put your actual name. You'd have to put it in quotes though.
Right. All right. Everybody good? All right, sweet. So this next one is where I have the typo. So instead of user.name right here, we're going to do user.email instead for this part right here. I copied and pasted it, didn't change them. So it would be, I'm going to copy this. I'll paste it in here. This would be user.email. And then your GitHub email. So this is the email that you use to log into your account. You can spell and type, which we all know that I can't. Everyone's very aware. All right, so just like that, and then go ahead and click enter. And did that seem to work for you guys on your own systems? All right, I got a thumbs up. One more thumbs up, and let me know if you want me to come over there and help.
Well, how do I access the steps? Is it on?
Oh, yeah, so that was if you go to the SI page for today, you're on the SI canvas?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So go to the page from today, and then under other, CS-11 GitHub repo, and that's a hyperlink. So you can just click and it will open all the steps, and these will always be here. So yeah. All right, and then we're on step 2 is what we're doing right now. And you can also, I have table of contents in here. So if you want to jump to a step, you can get to that. another cool thing you can do, this is actually an HTML, but Markdown supports HTML. So if you know any HTML stuff, you can actually do a hyperlinked table of contents. So if I wanted to jump to create a GitHub account, it'll take me right there. All right, so the next step is going to be, I'm just deleting this because I already did it, but for you guys, seems like it worked. Sweet. So now we're going to set up SSH. Liam, do you want to explain what SSH is? Because I'm going to mess it up.
Yeah, basically, SSH it stands for secure shell. It basically allows, at a basic level, it allows you to securely connect to a remote server. What Git would be doing with it is to basically copy over any of your changes over to the main
Hello.
repository. Okay, we should have just done the Git explanation at the end.
Maybe. Yeah, have them blindly go into this and then explain it after.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, for what you need to know, it's just a way of talking to the GitHub servers securely.
Yeah. So if you are on Mac or Linux, which everybody is, so we are all set, you will already have SSH installed, but if you want to double check, if you enter this command into your terminal, since I do have this actually, I can do it with you. It will just list some stuff over here. So you should see my terminal looks a little bit different now. I upgraded it and didn't realize that I can't have the original one, but my terminal is still doing the same thing as yours. It just has icons and colors. And if anyone wants me to set up your terminal with icons and colors at some point, especially since you guys are all on Macs, let me know because I do know how to do this now. So does everyone see files when we do that?
No.
No. All right, let me look.
See that over here.
Liam, do you want to get him started?
Yeah.
ls wiggly SSH. Really?
Yeah, so don't
Right,
worry
they
about
don't have
this.
SSH.
First, open up a browser.
Liam, they don't have
They
SSH.
don't have SSH. Oh,
How do we fix that?
installed by default.
I don't know. Let's see.
You definitely don't have Brew installed.
Oh yeah. Let's see. How did we set it up for Sigwin? Sigwin administrator. Even Sigwin had it.
It's weird.
Hang on. It's supposed to be installed on Mac, so we're gonna have to figure this out real quick.
I'll pull it up real quick.
All right, thank you. And then I'll get him set up while you do that. So, you are on something that looks like this right now. Has Liam got you up to here or not yet?
No, I
Okay,
just started.
so we're gonna go from scratch. So what you're going to do is go to your dashboard and then
File.
the CS-11 SI Canvas page.
Mm.
And then to modules, this is where you find everything that we ever go over. And then to the page for today. And then at the very bottom, it is the link to our GitHub repo. So if you click on that, that is where we're finding all of the instructions that I had pulled up. All right, cool. So the very first thing that you're going to need to do is confirm that you have Git on your system. We kind of went into what Git was earlier, but basically it's a way to control the version history of your files, where if you make changes and you want to save different instances and time of your files, you can always go back and come to like different versions.
Okay.
So like, you know, when you make an essay and you'll say, oh, this is my draft one. Yeah, exactly. It's basically drafts, but for code.
Yeah.
So in order to make sure that we have Git, you can scroll down to installing Git for Mac and Linux. And then if you do a split screen, actually, this is all in Markdown. And I showed you guys Markdown before, and this is another reason why I love it, because Git supports it. And if you want to copy commands, you can just click on this copy button, and then you can paste them in.
Okay. Okay.
And then you should see something similar to that. You're good. What happened? Okay, we're not screwed. This is really good that you're here.
Yeah. So the reason they don't have a .ssh is because they haven't done the keygen yet.
Oh, we have to do keygen before?
Yes, and
I did not know that.
That'll generate.
Oh,
They haven't installed, they just need to generate keys.
how did
So
I do this?
you probably already had one from, you've done it before, so you probably
Maybe.
have the directory.
All right, thank
Cool.
you.
So you just need a keygen.
Okay, I'm gonna get him up to speed. We're almost up to speed for you.
Yeah.
Or do you want to get him up to speed while I do the rest of
Yeah,
them?
you do that.
Okay, so for the rest of you guys, we are on step 2 and step 3, actually.
You know,
So what you're going to do is you're going to generate an SSH key. They can just do this in the home directory, right?
yes.
Yeah. So you'll copy this and it goes to your terminal and you're going to paste and then you will enter. And then you will take this command and does anyone remember what cat does? I explained it once.
Doesn't it like print like the contents of a file?
Yeah, exactly. It's a quick, easy way you can see the contents of a file from your terminal. So notice that this, what is this to us? Do you remember what this is? Just in general?
File location.
Yeah, it's a file path. Remember, a while ago, we were talking about the file tree on our system. It looks kind of like this. And we have to go from, if we wanted to see what's in codes for SI, we'd start with the slash, then user, then desktop, then codes for SI. It's a file path. It's basically like directions for the computer to find where a file is. So file paths we can use to go to a place in our file system in which every directory that we want to go from here to here to here is separated by this slash. So the tilde means we're in the home directory, right? And then we do slash .ssh and then slash into the file in that directory. So I can show you guys kind of what this looks like. So if I ls my files here, I'm in the tilde directory. I don't see this .ssh directory. Anyone know why I don't see it? Something kind of special. It's actually a hidden directory. Anytime you have a dot in front of something, it hides it from the view of the regular terminal. So you want to see hidden files, you do ls, and then you add the tag -a. And now I have all of these hidden folders on my computer. So you have a lot of stuff that configures your computer, but you don't need to see it generally, which is why they hide it. So SSH is one of those hidden files. I just wanted to let you know kind of what we're doing here. So now if we do cat this, I have an SSH key right here. So does everyone have something that looks like that?
Does it matter which file I enter to save the key in?
This is a Liam question. I do. Does it matter where they do SSH keygen? It should be in the tilde,
think-
right?
I think
In the home. Yes?
just hit enter.
Oh, okay.
I did generate a key, but it's still,
Yeah.
it's not a direct code. I tried to do that.
Hats.
Oh.
How are you doing?
So it's not showing that. You have it. That's the same.
Oh, yeah, I can install Git.
Not sure if I'm a
Oh, yeah, you have that. As long as it says some sort of version, you're good.
Oh. Oh, I see what
Okay.
happened.
I think.
So you have a GitHub account, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we can run the next one.
So,
All right, all the way down, and now we're gonna configure our accounts using these guys. So you can actually click right there and we'll copy it. So this is connecting GitHub to your local system. So instead of saying your GitHub username in the brackets, what you're going to, yeah, just put whatever username you use for GitHub. All right, cool. And then the next one is this one. We're configuring our email. I made a typo. Instead of username, it should be user email. So, all right, cool. You have GitHub already, right? All right, yeah. So we're just doing all the GitHub stuff. We're getting them set up from scratch, but yeah, you're welcome to hang out with us. Yeah, user.email, and then whatever email you use to log into GitHub. Perfect. All right, now you're up to speed with the rest of us. So you're gonna scroll down we're not on sequence, we're gonna keep
I like my
going.
whole computer.
So
It's just
this one, apparently my steps are out of order, so we're gonna do
that
this
they're
first.
in there.
Oh,
And then enter. Okay. Yes, that looks good. So just enter. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so now enter this command. That was the thing with the file path that I was talking about. So the file that it created in that path. Enter your.
That's weird. I'm not sure.
Oh, we don't need that.
Um,
All right, cool. And then go ahead and do, yeah, that one.
what's on my computer?
All right, there it is. So there is your SSH key. So you guys have key, that's key, and you have a. All right, so now we gotta cat the file to get the key. There it is. There's your key. All right, cool. Key. You have a key yet?
No, we're having issues.
Okay, what's going on?
Well. The installer, his computer isn't allowing him to install it from the package on a source forage. So I'm having it installed through, but he doesn't have a password set. So he can't
Oh.
use sudo. So now
Okay,
I'm trying to fix that. So we're three issues deep right now.
so should I move forward? Are you good just helping him?
Yeah. I'll just-
Okay, so for the rest of you guys, you now have an SSH key. So we're going to add our SSH key to GitHub. So to do that, you are going to open your GitHub website. I'm going to just make it big so we can see everything. You guys don't have to, but you're going to go to your settings. So we'll go all the way up to the top and I'm going to click my icon and I'll bring up settings over here. So I'm going to click on settings. And then that's going to open, this is where you can actually customize your profile if you want to add a bio or emails, websites, social media. This is where you can customize all that. But what we're interested in right now is SSH and GPG keys.
Password's like literally
Does
dead.
everyone see this button right here? Good? We good over there? All right, cool. So we're going to click on this. And these are, you can have SSH keys for different systems with one GitHub account. So I have a Mac computer. I also have a Ubuntu installed on this one. And I have Windows also on this one. I haven't made a key for that yet. But, and I also have like all these different computers and they can all interact with one account. So you would just do the same process that we just did with recreating an SSH key. So if you have like a desktop or any other computer that you want to use, you just do the SSH key gen and then cat the file and then take it and then you'll create a new SSH key.
Yes.
So you'll go right here to new SSH key and you're going to paste the contents that you just got from the cat. So you'll take all of this stuff, you're going to copy it, and where we would paste it is right here.
What did you change it to?
I didn't change anything. It didn't work.
All right, everybody good with this? All right. And now we're going to give it a name. So you saw that I had one that said my Mac, one that said my Ubuntu, etc. So just name it something that you know what system this is for. So you could just say my Mac laptop, or if you call your laptop a name, that would just go here. And then you'll put your title and then you'll add the SSH key. Since I already have one, I'm not going to click that.
You know, I just.
All right.
And
And then you should be redirected to your profile. And then if we lost the link, we can just go back here and pull it back up again with the instructions. And we are on step, this one right here. We just finished step 4. So we went to the settings icon. We went to SSH and GPG keys. Then we clicked on that. We added a new key. We pasted what you got out of the file. And then you added an SSH key. So everybody good on that. Awesome. Now we are ready to get one of the repos that you're going to be using onto your own system. So earlier I showed you guys that I made this page. It's called a repository or a repo. It's basically a place where all the code lives. So if you look, it looks just like a regular file system, right? I have a folder. Within it, I have a file. This is all the markdown notes that I told you guys about. So you can access them here. But basically every week, we are going to be adding folders to this repo. So we have one for week 2, that was just the notes. Week 3, we'll have a practice program for you guys and some instructions. So basically, as we go on, the two of us are going to keep adding directories to this repository, and then you'll actually be able to work on this code on your own system. It's really cool. So in order to do that, we are going to go to the main page here. At the very top, you're going to click on fork. So I can't do it because I own the repository, but you should see something that looks like this. You should be able to click on fork and then create new fork. All right. And then you'll click on the create fork. So it's going to basically just ask you what you want to name it. And then you can change the description. You can change the name. Just know what this is. I like keeping mine the same name as the original. And then when you're set, you'll just click on the green create fork button. So let me make sure we're doing this over here. So we went up to, all right, cool. And then have you forked it? Yes. All right. Okay, good. Okay, it looks like you already forked it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So notice if we now go to your account on GitHub at the very top, I need to make a better way to scroll to the top because now it's annoying. But now if you go to your profile and click on your repositories, you should see something that says CS-11 SI is kind of like forked, right? So now you basically have a copy of the original on your own GitHub account. Now we want to take that copy that you guys have on your account and bring it to your system. That way you can actually work on your normal system with VS Code or Vim or whatever you guys like to use and just code like normal. So in order to do that, I'm going to get back to what step we are on. And this is called cloning. So within GitHub, there are millions of coders who code repositories and then they post them. You can make them either public or private. But if someone has like a really cool project and you want it on your own system, you do what's called clone it. And what that does is it takes their entire project that they've posted on GitHub and it brings it and all the files along with it onto your system. So you can go in and edit all of them. So if you're working with a team, you would clone your team's repository, then you could change their stuff and then you would push it back to the main GitHub and then your changes would be reflected for everyone else. So we're doing kind of a version of that. I'm having you guys do what's called fork it, which is not editing directly mine, but it's editing your own version of it. That way you guys don't overwrite each other's code and you each have like your own little environment to live on. So let's go ahead and clone our forked repo onto our system. So at the very top of this page, again, we're going to have to scroll all the way to the top. You'll go to code, and then it will give you options that look like this. And you want to click on the one that says SSH because we generated an SSH key. And we're going to be using SSH to connect GitHub and our computer. So you go to SSH and you're going to copy something that looks like this. So it'll look different on yours. And this is the one that you forked. So you have to go to your account and go to your fork of it. Let me make sure we're all good over here. So you're on your fork of it. Yeah, perfect. So you'll go to code and then SSH and then copy that. All right, that's good. You good? Good? Yep, all right, copied, perfect. And now we're going to return to our terminal. I wonder if it'll let me make another clone of something that I already have. We're gonna find out. So I'm gonna try and do this with you guys. So I'm going to copy this and now I'm gonna return to my terminal. I'll shrink this so we can see everything at once. And now we're asking basically, where do we want to put this new folder that's being input onto our computer? So I know a lot of you guys have a directory for CS-11 right now, right? You can put this in there if you want, or you can just put it on your desktop in your downloads. Kind of need to pick where we want to put it. So I want to put mine just directly, I think, let's see. I'm going to CD to the location that I want to put it. So I want mine on my desktop. And within my desktop, I have a folder named codes. Do I actually? Codes for SI. So basically, I'm specifying that I want this new folder that I'm pulling from GitHub that's going to have all the code that we're going to be going over in SI. Where do I want it? So you're gonna have to CD to that location. So I'm going to basically right here. So might be different for you guys. If you want it in your directory that you do all your CS-11 stuff, just CD to there. All right, good? Questions?
Go to what she was
I
doing.
want to get our CS-11 document.
Yeah, so CS-11 for SI. Let's see. And you can also, I'm doing the CD where I'm listing multiple directions at once. You could just CD to documents and then CD to the next one if you want to.
So
And
basically,
then LS.
all four
Picture in the
is
right
doing
place.
is,
All right, so this is where you want it.
she has all
Perfect.
this code.
All right, you're set. Are you set?
When you forget, you're just taking that and completely copying it.
I'm gonna show you what's.
Line and putting it.
You good?
Okay.
That way you have access to it. So this is just reloading.
Okay. Get clone. Okay, all right, come right back to that one.
We'll just keep it as the
All right.
same.
Perfect. All right. So, see, going on to the next step. Yeah, you're done.
There you go.
You did.
This is-
Okay, so for the rest of you, I have navigated to the location in my file system that I want to clone this repo onto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll back down to that part in the setup. I'm going to use my table of contents. We don't have to jump like crazy. Clone. All right. So now to clone any repo, what it's going to be is git clone. So git space clone. All of our git commands that you'll see later today are always going to start with git. And then we're going to clone the link that you copied with your SSH. When we went all the way to the top and we clicked SSH and copy link, that's what you're going to paste here. So I have one right here. This one is an example of what it should look like. If you copy and paste this, it's not going to work. So you have to use your own link that you generated. All right. And then I'm going to see if it lets me do this. All right. So it says cloning, and you should see something that looks like that. It's going to give you some output. It's saying that it's done doing all this stuff, and you'll return back to your command prompt.
That key, so also whenever you
Alright, so
talk to
let's do
GitHub
that.
from this computer, it will know that it's you. So we'll just go back to
Just say yes.
No,
and
it's-
we'll find out what this is.
here.
And then,
Clone
did you enter a passphrase for it?
Talking in.
All right.
Copy it.
All right, now you're done. Okay. And for you, let's see. Yeah, so just say yes. Enter.
Do you wanna like make
And then
a,
if you enter the passphrase.
like a
it'll
directory of file?
All right, so you're set, you're set, you're set.
project?
And now we're going to see if it worked. So how could I see if this actually worked? What command shows me what's in my directory?
So we'll just make that. Make the
LS. All right, go ahead and do LS
And go.
and
directory,
see
hit directory.
if you have something new there. Everybody see the new file? All right, cool. So now, if you go into your file system, or however you like to look at it, we could CD into there if we wanted to and kind of check it out, see what's there. But everything that was in the GitHub repo online is now on your local system. So, yeah, now this kind of just works like a normal folder on your own system. So you can go in and edit this code and change it and do all this sort of stuff with it. So now that we're all on the same page with that, does anyone have questions? This was all the setup stuff. You'll never have to do this again unless you want to do someone else's repo and clone it and use it. But for the SI stuff, you only have to do this one time. But in case you ever have to do it again, does anyone have questions on anything that we did? Good?
Can you go to the
right.
home directory on Finder on Mac?
There is none. Yeah,
Anyhow,
not that I know of. I've never been able to find it. All right, so now we're going to show you guys how to actually use this. Use the version control thing that Liam talked about earlier. So now we're going to be maintaining our repo section. So this is the section that we'll be using frequently every time we want to actually use this repository. So what you're going to do is we're going to skip step 1 and step 2 because I haven't made any changes. And we're going to go directly to, I guess we're skipping that whole step. Hang on, let me remember what I was trying to do with you guys today.
Where do you guys just move on?
cloning everything?
Yeah, we cloned it and that's where we're at now.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're caught up.
Have you guys cloned it?
Yeah, we're caught up. We have-
Yes.
So let's go back to the GitHub.
All right, I'm gonna let them finish getting caught up. Sounds like they're just about there, and then we'll move on. So you guys can take like a break or whatever. And-
Just clone it here. Let's stop right here. So you're on maintaining your repo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And there's no changes that she's made. So basically when she makes any changes, your fork will be out of date. So what you can do is just, at any time she makes any changes, you can go to your fork and hit sync fork, and that will just copy everything over. And then on your system, basically there's a command git pull. When you type that in your terminal, it just tells your local files to sync up with your fork on GitHub. So that's basically what's happening. Yeah, we don't need to do all that up.
All right, so now everyone has the repo on your own computer. And when you did LS, you got to see that it was in fact there. So now what we're going to do is everyone here on VS Code? I forgot.
Yes.
Wonderful. Oh, my life is so easy right now. Okay, so we're going to go to wherever you put that file or that folder that you created, and you're going to go into opening it in VS Code. So remember, we go to VS Code. I don't think you guys have the code command installed yet, so we're going to do it the old way. Let's see. So we're going to head up to the top. We'll go to code. Actually, where is it? I don't usually use it this way. Open folder right here. So we'll open VS Code, and then we go to file at the top, open folder. And then we'll go ahead and use our finder to find where we put it. And I put it right here. So we'll click on the whole thing, and then we'll click on open. All right, so now, like usual, like any other VS Code files that we ever use, all of our files are right up here. And these are the ones that I created. So if we go into week 3, we can open that up, and we can open up the README for week 3. And you guys have seen Markdown before. This is how I wrote our instructions. And if we want to see them in the pretty format, we went ahead and we clicked the, what is this icon called? Open preview to the side. So we're going to open the preview to the side, just like that. And now we're going to also open welcome.cpp. And we can just pull these over so we have a split screen of the two. So this is basically how I'm going to do the coding exercise with you guys. Each one, I'll have a directory for the exercise. And within that directory, I'll have the README with the instructions. And then we'll also have some starter code for you. And then Liam's going to work on actually getting some tests in on there. So you can actually test your code against test cases.
Basically, as soon as you upload your code, it'll automatically test all of it, check if it's working.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still working on this stuff, but so now we're going to use GitHub for the very first time. So this is just like our regular VS Code. This is a normal file, this is normal README. So we're going to follow the steps. It says that we followed the getting started steps. We opened our welcome.cpp, and then we're going to just change this text. It's a very simple version, but just to get you guys started with using GitHub was the purpose of today, not really to actually program. So I'm going to just replace this with my name. Like that. And then we'll save our file. And now we actually need to what's called commit the changes. So Liam, you want to explain commits? Because you kind of explained them earlier.
Yeah, I kind of did explain them earlier. Basically, first off, let's just review what we've gone so far. We've done a lot of stuff, so it's a little bit confusing. Right now, there's kind of 4 main areas the code's living. So when you're normally editing code in like the .cpp files, that when you're writing that, that's going to be living in the working directory. So that's like the actual copy of the code. If you want to get your stuff back to Steph's, what you first have to do is move your code to your Git repo. That's the Git repository on your computer isn't going to be anything you're messing with directly. Only through the Git command are you going to be taking anything from the Git repo and towards the Git repo. So basically, to get something, any changes you've made, first what you have to do is commit them to your repo, which just takes the actual changes you made and creates a new version of it in your Git repository. So we talked earlier about how Git repositories have every copy of the code. Once you move it from there you have to push your changes to your fork, which is on the GitHub servers. There's going to be basically a .git repo for Stephanie and then a .git repo for your fork. Once you push it to your fork, you can use the GitHub website. It does all the commands for you. You can then move your code back to steps.
I don't think we're moving it back to mine.
Well, we're not going to do that, but you
Yeah.
could if you wanted to.
Yes.
So if you're working on any projects, like say you're working at Google, Google is probably going to have all their code on some GitHub repo. You would fork that to your own machine, bring that to your GitHub repo, then work on your working directory. And then what you do from there is push, push, push all the way back. So that's just kind of separating the things into discrete levels. The reason we fork is just because a lot of times GitHub's used for open source projects. So anyone can contribute to it if they want. But obviously, if you're running a project, you don't want people making changes without your permission. So what they do is they make their own so they can commit all their changes easier and then have GitHub handle syncing their fork to the main fork. So yeah, basically what committing does is it just moves your changes to your GitHub repo. So from there, it's easy to push to your fork.
Sounds good. So basically a commit, remember how we were talking about an essay where you're making multiple versions of it? The git commit command is when you say, okay, at this point in time, I want a saved version of this file. So if I went to any GitHub repo that I have, I'm just doing a small side tangent on here. Let's just go to the README document, I guess, on this any day now. It tells me I have 25, wait, that's not, there it is. Here's a README document. I have a bunch of commits on this and I can go in and see them. And basically every single time that we make a git commit, if we look on GitHub, it's going to keep track of it. So this is basically how we save a version of the code. When you're like, okay, I'm happy with this version. I'm going to go on to something new now. Maybe I'm going to add a new feature. Maybe I'm going to change it. You want to save this instance in time, you make a commit. So you can see here, I am changing all the README stuff. I had some spelling mistakes, so I went and fixed that. And then it made like a version check, like where it said, oh, we changed this to this. So GitHub will actually do this in a visual GUI interface, where we can kind of actually go in and see with this commit, this is what I changed. And I'll show you guys that in a second on your own system. Basically, a commit is used to save this position in time with this file. So the git commit command is always exactly the same. It's git commit and then -m. So breaking this down, all of our git commands we use in the terminal are going to start with git. So then your terminal knows, okay, we're going to do some git stuff right now. Then Git has a list of commands just like Unix does, where we have ls and cd and all that stuff. Git has their own commands. So then it's the name of the commands. There's any tags we have to give to it that specifies how we're going to use that command. And then, so this says we're going to use Git to commit a point in time in this file. And then -m says we're going to give it a message. So we go back here, I have messages, all of these commits, so I know which one's which. Some of mine are pretty bad, but a good programmer would actually make these useful, where you know, this commit, I changed this thing. So within the quotes, we're going to put a commit message. This would be specific to what you're going to commit. So here we said change name. It doesn't have to say change name, anything that's meaningful to you. And then you're going to tell it, what file did we change? Well, we changed welcome.cpp. So to review, git, we're using git commands. We got to specify that. Commit, that's how we save a point in time. Message is so that we know what this changed. And then the file that we changed. Same format every single time. And then you'll enter. And it's going to give you a little summary of what you did. We changed one file, we inserted one thing, and we deleted one thing. So we deleted those square brackets, those angle brackets that I had there. I had something there, I forget what was there. And then we added in our name, and it's telling us we changed one file. All right, cool. So now we changed our file. But if we go back to your forked GitHub repo on the website, does anything look different to you? So go to your repo on the website. and go into the files, and then you'll go into your welcome directory. This is your fourth one. It's not going to show up for me because I didn't really follow all the steps along with you guys. But if you go into welcome.cpp, does it look the same as it used to? And the answer should be yes. All right, let's see. So we're on GitHub. It looks the same. See what we got over here.
Instead of doing that.
We're not. You gotta move into the week 3 directory. So see on your terminal, you're up here. So you gotta CD into week 3. All right, so you're on GitHub. If we go into welcome week 3, this one we just changed. And if we go into welcome.cpp, that's the file we just changed. Yeah, it looks exactly the same. So it looks like we didn't change anything because we didn't. Remember Liam's explanation up there, we committed to our own repo. This is still on our computer. If we want to send it to GitHub, we have to use one more command. It's called push. So now, if we go back over to our terminal here, the next command that we're going to use is called git. Again, we're using a git command. We're going to use git, and then the command is push. It will always be git push. There's no extra things you need to put on it. It's git push. So we say git push, and we enter, and it gives me a little summary of what we did. This all means stuff, but we don't need to worry about it. As long as we see like a blurb of text here, we're in a good state. So now go ahead and go back to GitHub and reload the page that you all were just on and see if that changed now. Let's see what we got here. Did we push? You copied it. Did you change the code into the commit and the push yet?
No,
Okay.
I'm not sure where.
All right. Hey, Liam,
What's up?
you want to help him with the
Yeah.
opening it on his system and then doing the commit and push?
Sure, so
Alright.
you're in here,
So let's see, did it change?
you-
Awesome. And then did it change over here? Yep. And then did it change for you or were you having issues?
so which exactly?
Okay, let's see what we got.
You're trying to change the rebate. You're gonna push that in.
Go ahead and do ls.
So did you change it?
Yeah, we have welcome, we have welcome. Oh, we need to navigate into the welcome directory. That's the directory.
Oh, okay.
So then CD is welcome. Yeah, just like all of our other Unix commands, when we want to use them with a file, we gotta be in the same directory as that file. So now, there it is. And then go ahead and push, and then you should see this change to your name. So, yeah, that's how we use version control. So if we wanted to go back and make another change to this file, which I think we should do, all we need to do is go back to the file over here on our system. We can do another cout statement. I don't care what you guys do to it, just change it in some way. All right. So make any other changes to the file.
Git status, you're gonna see.
And now
This file.
go ahead and commit the changes again.
So I haven't finished drawing it out, basically.
So to do that, we'll do git commit
Git add-
minus M, standing for we're using git. We're going to commit. That's how we save a version in time. Minus M, so you can let us use a message. In the quotes, we put a message. This just says, added another cout. And then what file did we change? Well, we changed welcome.cpp. And then we get to enter. It tells us that we changed one file.
So
We inserted one thing. And then how do we actually reflect those changes on GitHub? What do we do? Git push. All right, so we're going to do git push. And then if we go back to the website, oh wait, what did I just do? Oh, I forgot that I wasn't actually doing this along with you guys. I might have just broken something. On your system, it should work perfectly fine. But if you go back to your GitHub, you should see that new change reflected. And then Oh, I'm changing the original. Oh no, I did bad things. I'll fix it later. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. But you should see these changes reflected on your account. And this is basically how you can track version history with your assignment. So if you have like a really big assignment, and you're changing, like you have a working version, but you're like, I can make this better. Go ahead and do a git commit, and then you'll be able to go into history and see all the changes. So look, I changed the name right here. If I click on this, I can see what changed. It actually highlights it for me. It told me, hey, at this time, in red, it shows you what got deleted, and in green, it shows you what you added. So it gives you a nice little summary of everything that happened. And if any time you want to go back to that previous commit, you can definitely do that. So yeah, that's a very quick crash course on GitHub. It does so much more than this. But this is like the basics that you need to know. You'll be using this throughout the rest of your career as a software engineer. We'll be using it in SI, so you get a lot of experience with it. Purpose of today was just kind of give you an introduction to it. And then in the future, our future SI sessions will use this. And just like the welcome.cpp exercise, I'll put other exercises there for you where you guys actually get to do like a full program. We'll have instructions. Liam and I will make instructions. We'll make problems for you guys. And then you'll be able to code them here and we'll help you out with them. So that's basically what to look forward to in the future. It's more practice programming problems, but now we have you guys set up. So, I changed my files on my system and you guys forked from mine. So now there's like a discrepancy there and we're going to have to fix that, but that does not affect you guys at all. So, that is for us to figure out. We will get that working. Yeah, I like to break Git and make Liam fix it. But in summary, we learned Git. Liam, do you want to do the summary of what we
Yeah, I kind of have
learned?
a lot of the stuff I want on this board right now. Okay, but yeah, so let's just make sure this is cool with everyone. Does everyone understand this? I get it. If you have any questions, like now's the time to ask. Everyone got it? Cool. The other thing, this is just kind of how your Git repo works. So say you have a file a.cpp, b.md, c.cfg. Every time you make a commit, what you're doing is just grabbing each file and basically saving it to your Git repo. So say we make a.cp, b.md, and we commit that, we just save the versions of those files on the next, basically save those to our Git repo. Say then after that, we change a.cpp and we create a new file, c.cfg. If we're to commit that, it's going to publish these two. But instead of just recapturing the B file here, all it does is just point back to the previous one because that already exists. And yeah, we're gonna do the same thing, change A and change B, but not change C. We'll put those two in and then just point back to C. So that's basically how the Git repo works. And of course, what's really great about that is you can easily roll back to any of these different points in time. So say in your most recent one, you didn't like it, you can easily just grab the file at any of those different versions and just roll it back super easily. The thing about Git is it pretty much only adds data and never removes it. So you'll never be able to like screw yourself over unless you're me. Yeah, just that. Or if you like delete the entire repo, in which case, yeah, you're gonna lose everything. Unless it's backed up on GitHub. But yeah, what I'm writing up here is the within your computer, there's three main areas of Git, not GitHub. So the working directory, which we were talking about before, basically the actual files you're editing. After that, there's the staging area. This is kind of a lot more conceptual of a place. When you guys saw, once you've made changes, if you type in git status, it's going to show like the files that were modified. When you do git add, the files that have changed, that's basically adding those files to the staging area. From there, they get moved down to the actual .git repo on your computer, which is basically this right here, which we're talking about before. So to summarize, GitHub store is basically a place to host those Git repos. Typically what you're going to want to do when you're working on a project that isn't your own is you're gonna want to fork it, which creates a new Git repo that you
Like a
are in
copy.
charge of.
Basically a copy.
Yeah, basically copy it. Then you're gonna want to copy it again onto your own computer. So all three of these are Git repos. This one's local. From there, you can work on the files, stage them, and then commit them. And then from there, you can push your changes to your fork, and then Steph, if she wants to, can pull your changes over. Another, I guess, concept in Git is pulling versus pushing. Most everything in Git is going to be pulling. Basically, in general, you don't want people forcing their changes onto your Git repos. So what you do
With
is
them, they're gonna push though. They're gonna push a
yeah,
lot.
well, let me get to that.
Okay.
Generally, you're gonna want to pull those changes towards you. So a pull request is just saying, hey, Steph, can you please take my code and put it into your Git repo? When it comes to your fork, basically your fork is just a copy of this Git repo. So it doesn't really make much sense to request yourself to pull it, right? So in that case, you can just force it on because you're in charge of both of these, you're okay with that. But in general, if you're working on a project where it's not just you, you're never going to want to push your code. If you're working on your own project, you're just using GitHub to basically back up your files, to share your files, not with a team, but just the general population. At that point, it's good to push. But even on projects you run, if you have team members under you, you're still going to want to generate pull requests.
And that is where I messed up today.
Yeah. So yeah, be careful. Again, you don't actually have to worry too much about pushing and pulling. Like if you do push something you don't want or messes something up, again, we have every other version. You can easily move back and fix any changes. But yeah, that's the basic breakdown of Git and GitHub. You guys have any questions on any of that?
So how it works is like you're making the changes on your computer and then you're almost like saving them and then you're sending them.
Yeah, pretty much. It is kind of confusing because there's like basically five
So many
levels.
steps.
There's a lot of steps, but yeah, you're I guess you can almost think of like the working directory as not even a part of Git. Git's just kind of looking at those files, and whenever it notices, hey, what the code.cpp is different from the most recent version, it'll let you know, and it can grab those and save a new version of a new snapshot of the file. The staging area, again, it's conceptual. It's basically letting Git know which files you're going to want to create new snapshots for. And the Git repo is this right now, a collection of all the different files at different times.
So
And then Git repos on GitHub are just the same thing, just hosted on the server, so it's external. But yeah. Anything else anyone needs to know? Is that because I explained everything perfectly and nothing's confusing? Or you guys just don't want to ask me? Okay, well, I'm gonna.
I feel like it's pretty good. It's like saving different versions, right? You know,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
different versions in time. So like you did something, you know, and then you committed it, you know,
Yeah.
and then pushed
you
it.
want it back.
You're saving that as a version
Mhm.
because you're gonna go do something else, and then you save it again, and both of them are there.
Yeah. It's
So like if this one was wrong, you could go back to the other one, right?
exactly, yeah. It's a, like, I guess, for example, like, if you guys have ever done, oh, hi, me.
I realized I wasn't pointing the camera that way, so no one watching the recording could see anything
Yeah.
we're doing.
But yeah, basically, the reason for all these steps is you can imagine, say you're running a company, you're hiring 30 developers, paying them all $200,000 a year. You're not going to be happy if you lose a year of work, right? That's a shitload of money you just lost because you weren't properly keeping track of things. Having all this redundancy is super important for basically the integrity of this code, making sure everything's what you want it to be and that it's there. So that's why there's all these processes. That's why it's super painful because every single person involved is going to have a full copy. So again, if you have that 30-person team, you now have 31 copies of the code. You have one on the server and then one for each person. You might even have more than that. Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to say or ask?
I want to show them the GitHub homepage with your
Go for it.
squares because the squares are fun.
The squares, go for it.
Squares.
Yeah.
Okay, so one last thing here, if I stop my video, because I don't need that, anymore. Okay, so on GitHub, there's like a lot of features to this place. We went over like the bare bones basics that exist, but one thing that I find kind of cool is you can flex on people with this graph. It basically shows you how active you are as a coder, and it's very fun. That's all I have to say here. Yeah, I should definitely show yours.
No, mine's very, I don't,
Yeah, but like the darker green is when you did more code. It's not
yeah.
necessary to have this thing. It's just kind of fun. I enjoy it. But yeah, that's about it for Git and GitHub. If you guys don't have any questions, you are free to go. Actually, no, you're not. You're not free yet. You're not done with us. I'm sorry. Some of you guys came late, so I gotta have you scan attendance, and then you're free, and then you're done with us. And then, yeah, I think we did it. And I'll take a picture of that and I'll put it on Canvas as well. And then as usual, slides exist on Canvas. And message us if you have any questions.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course. Also, for the Mac people, this terminal, do you guys want to learn how to make your terminal look cool? Or do you just want to go into practice programs next time?
Practice program.
How about I make like a separate little half-hour thing sometime and I'll
Would
send
you
it.
like the introductory to the next session?
Possibly, this does take a while, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do with this and it's a lot of steps. So it might be something I just sit down with you at some time and just let me know. But I enjoy this because it has like all my different stuff is different colors and it auto completes. It's very fun, but not necessarily for a class. It's just something cool that I found out like recently. So open to setting that up on your guys' systems if you want. But next week we'll go straight into practice programs and we'll use Git for all of that. And for people who weren't here today, or if you can't bring your own computer, because I know that's an issue, we have another completely different system, which is like a virtual IDE that you'll just be using. But for the people who are here, you have computers, so you're set. All right.
Does anyone want to take a picture of any of this?
Oh, I'm going to take a picture of it and put it on Canvas.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Anyone want that?
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay.